But the most obvious use of offshore financial companies is to avoid taxes. Now, Oxfam in 2016 blamed tax havens on the levels of income equality and the widening gap between the rich and the poor around the world. It's one of the things that doesn't get talked about enough, but when we see the increasing levels of income equality in places like the United States and Australia, the UK, Canada, not to mention other countries around the world, Europe and developing countries, one of the things that doesn't get talked about enough in the mainstream media is the role of tax avoidance and tax havens in that. The IMF estimated in July 2015 that profit shifting by multinational companies was costing developing countries around $213 billion a year in lost income.
Right.
So profit shifting is where companies like Apple and Microsoft, who have done this for decades, will have complicated corporate structural arrangements that enables them to show very little revenue in a place like the United States,
right?
Even though they're selling a shit ton of products there, and all the revenue ends up being booked through somewhere like Ireland, which has very, very low taxation.
Okay.
So they might be selling. Like I know when I worked at Microsoft, they were guilty of this in Australia. So they had a couple of hundred staff in Australia. We were turning over like $1 billion a year in Australia in selling software to companies and individuals.
Right.
But our profit in Australia was next to nothing because through a whole series of complicated legal structures, it was actually Microsoft Ireland that was booking all of that revenue. Microsoft Australia... I think the way they work it is, Microsoft Australia really is only licensed to hire staff, like salespeople and administrative staff. That's all it does.
Yeah.
It's actually Microsoft Ireland that is selling the products and services. Microsoft Australia is paying Microsoft Ireland a license to sell those products and services. And the cost of the license is 100% of the retail sale of the product. So they're not booking any profit here.
Right.
All the profit is going to Microsoft in Ireland, where they pay, next to no tax because Ireland was trying to, bring lots of business to their country, and so they did all these shady deals.
Right.
So so that's how Microsoft in Australia managed to book $1 billion of revenue every year and pay no tax.